Bobby Cavanier from Studio MMA and MMA News, standing here with Scott Coker. Scott, tell us about tomorrow.
I tell you, it's going to be a great fight. I mean, I think that we have a new female Olympian that we just signed, and this is her first time fighting in Strikeforce Challengers, and she's 145 pounds, both the girls, and having an Olympian here and testing with Sarah is going to be a good test for her and see where she's at. I mean, to fight Olympics, it's a great experience in judo, but MMA is a little different, and so I'm really excited to see where she's at. We look at the main event with George, and it's going to be, and he looks in great shape. Both those guys look in great shape, so they're going to throw down. And so if you guys are able to tune in Showtime tomorrow night at 11 o'clock Eastern, you're going to see some great fights.
Which one do you look forward to the most?
Is it the main event? That's going to be a scrap. I mean, it's going to be. I think they're going to go right to the center of the cage and start throwing, because even George is such a great, ground fighter. The past with us has been pretty much, except for the last fight, he goes to the center of the cage and start throwing. So I think this it's going to be like a smaller version of the Dan Henderson versus Fedor fight.
You called him earlier today at the weigh-ins, vet in Strikeforce. Where would you place him after the fight?
Wait, say that one more time.
You called him a vet. Yeah.
A veteran?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where would you place him after the fight?
You mean as far as George?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that we like to take it fight by fight, and I mean, here is a guy that has done it all. And the thing about George, have you ever seen George in a boring fight? Never. And, I mean, no matter when he was fighting for the UFC and Strikeforce, and now Strikeforce Challengers. I mean, I have never seen that guy in a boring fight, and he always brings it. And if he wins, let's see how he wins, and maybe he could work his way back up to the bigger show on Showtime.
Now, can you tell me, how does the Strikeforce Challengers work? When do you guys bump up fighters up to the main event?
It's on a case-by-case basis, and we talk internally to the matchmakers and Showtime and see which fighters that they feel could be ready for the next step, and the fighters have to perform. I mean, if you come out here, well, you could come out and have a great performance, and you can maybe even lose and take that next step up, and sometimes it depends on as far as like when Tyron Woodley, we had DC. We had, I don't want to say like some of the girls that we had, brought up, like the Liz Carmouche and Sarah Kaufman. But when I was standing at the podium for the last show shoot, where were we at? I forgot. Where was the last fight at? We were in Chicago. Yeah. Sorry. So last fight in Chicago, we were up there, seven stud athletes, and 5 of them had come from challengers. And so they had to work their way into the big show. So, we're looking for the next superstar. We're looking for the next big, star in MMA, and this is the proving ground for them to work their way up and let the better person win, and then you get your shot at the big show.
It's going to be an interesting weekend. You guys holding tomorrow, Friday, prelims at Facebook and the main card on Showtime. Is it possible for people in Europe to watch the main card fights?
You know what? Showtime is airing them here in North America, and I knew they had some territories, around the country. It also will air on the U.S. Armed Forces Network. So if you're in the military out there, thank you very much, and you'll be able to watch it on your base, no matter where you're at, because it goes all over the world. Even on the military aircraft, on an aircraft carrier, I've had some people email me saying thank you for showing us the fights, and so you could be sitting in an aircraft carrier in the middle of the Atlantic and watch Strikeforce on Showtime through the Armed Forces Network.
Now, you mentioned Chicago, and you guys chose not to extend or re-sign Fedor Emelianenko. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a contract issue, and I don't want to get too far into it. But Fedor, I think after 3 losses, I think that he needs to regroup a little bit. Great fighter, don't get me wrong. Have a lot of respect for him. That's why we signed him back in in the day when we did in 2009. Because we thought he was a superstar. He was one of the Pride champion, and his resume spoke for itself. So, superstar in the sport. But I think that after 3 losses, he's going to fight in Russia. I heard, and I wish him luck. And maybe I'll even go out there and go watch the show, because I'm still a fan. And that fight with Dan was great. It was close. Dan told me something. He said, good thing I got my haircut before the fight, because when he punched, if I would, it went right by my head 2 times. He goes, it might have hit me, but one slip this way or the other way, the outcome could have been different. But that's the beauty of MMA, because you never know what's going to happen, and the better man won that night.
And where do you see Dan Henderson now? Because last time we spoke with Dana White, he mentioned he might want to take Dan Henderson back.
You know what? Here's the thing. To me, we have a lot of great fights for him in Strikeforce. So personally, I'd like to keep him in Strikeforce. So let's see what happens. I mean, we're going to sit down with Dan. I think probably the next couple of weeks, and see where we're all going to go from there. But they have a lot of great fights for them on the UFC side, and we have a lot of great fights for them on the Strikeforce side. So, you know what? We're gonna do our best. 'Cause I think he should end up fighting those fights, and he should fight Gegard Mousasi. He should fight the winner of King Mo versus Roger Gracie. There's still some unfinished business out there with some of the guys, and I'd love for that to continue.
Let me ask you about the past week, about all this talk about Golden Glory Boys up in Holland. What is your take about that? You guys fired Marlis Conner. She was defending her title 2 weeks ago, and Overeem's brother, and possibly now Sergey Kharitonov, if I pronounce his name correctly.
Well, you know what? If you look at this thing in a logical manner, right? It, without going into too much detail, because it's very complicated, right? And it was a long process to get to this point, and really has nothing to do with any one fighter, including Alistair, right? It just has to do with the difference in management style, and what the current regime is how they handle business and how Golden Glory handles business, and that's really it. And it has really nothing to do with any of the fighters. I think the fighters are, I'm sure they're not happy because of what happened, but my feeling is the management there should maybe come to Vegas and sit down and have a conversation. So that's how I feel. But it's nothing against the fighters. I mean, I'm the one that signed Alistair to Strikeforce. I'm the one that signed Marlis Conner to Strikeforce. I'm the one that signed Kharitonov to Strikeforce. But it's a management issue more than a fighter issue.
Now, what would happen to Sergey after his either win or loss against Josh Barnett?
You know what? I haven't even thought about that. But I know what Dana said, and I haven't really talked to them, and that's something that let's see what happens. I think it's going to be a great fight, and if you look at our fight card, September 10th, it's going to be another amazing top-to-bottom fight card, and I think Sergey and Josh, I think that's the main event fight. And I always reserve judgment to see who wins, how they win, and we'll go from there.
Now it seems like the issues start with who's getting paid, the fighters or the management. Now, no.
You know what? I tell you, that was only one part of it, and I don't want to go into all the details because you know what? It's something that would be too complicated to have a conversation about.
Too complicated for me.
No, not too complicated. But it's kind of like at this point we've already moved on. Golden Glory has probably moved on, so let's just all move on.
Thank you so much. We're looking forward tomorrow. Strikeforce challengers, Gurgel versus Duarte. Thank you.
It's going to be fantastic.
Looking forward.
Thank you.